Council meeting to order Monday, October 19th. Roll call, please.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
Troy Boone. Here. Gerald Deline.
Here.
Troy Doty. I see him. Art Schott.
Here.
Teresa Swigan. And Mike Peterman.
Here. Agenda was sent out. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Deline and seconded to adopt the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. Minutes for October 5th. Is there a motion to approve the October 5th minutes?
Motion to approve the October 5th.
Motion by Tiedemann and seconded to approve the October 5th, 2020 minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearings, issuance of retail on-sale liquor license for a full-service restaurant and group sports bar and grill.
I'm not sure if anyone here is present to.
So if there's nobody here, do we just vote?
Hold on. One at a time.
No one here to speak. Is there a motion to approve the first public hearing regarding Bert's Sports Bar and Grill located at 1406 West Cedar Street?
I'll make a motion.
Go in a second.
Motion
Actually, for the issuance of the license.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
This is the time for the public hearing, and if there's
The motion
comments,
is
so
to
this would actually issue, the issuance of the license.
Shall I make a motion, issuance of the license for, Sports Bar and Grill, 1406 West Cedar Street.
Go in a second.
Motion by Schott and seconded for issuance of retail on-sale liquor license for a full-service restaurant, Bert's Sports Bar and Grill, 1406 West Cedar Street. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Issuance approved. Next, public hearing regarding transfer of retail off-sale liquor license from Bert's Sports Bar and Grill, 1406 West Cedar Street to Bert's Beer Garden, 210 North 17th Street. Anybody here to offer? Do not believe it. Is there a motion to consider transferring the retail off-sale liquor license?
Deline make a motion to transfer the retail off-sale liquor license from Bert's Sports Bar and Grill, 1406 West Cedar Street to Bert's Beer Garden, 210 North 17th Street.
Second.
Motion by Deline and seconded to consider the transfer of retail off-sale liquor license. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. When are both those effective?
Tonight.
Thanks.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the transfer?
Aye.
Opposed? Transfer approved. Visitors to be heard, Mr. Brian Burge. Perfect time.
Hi guys. So most of you know, built a house over south of Cruzy's on southwest 13th Street. From what I've come to learn, when we surveyed the lot, the original pins were put in there from about 2008-ish or so. I think when they did the development. When Bush built his house, he built really close to the south line. When Cruzy's built theirs, they had talked to the city council, I believe, Gary can add into this, about moving all the lot lines south. When we looked at the pins, I currently own within like 2 feet of their house, which is way too close. So I'm planning on giving them 10 feet, which I think is where the pins are supposed to be moved to based on the conversation I've had. The question then comes, can I also then ask for 10 feet of pins moved to the south of my property into the golf course area, which would still be within keeping the fire hydrant and water shut off outside my property zone. So that's question number one. And question number two, does anyone have any heartburn about me doing 2 driveways? So basically, because of that bike lane, we don't have a lot of parking. I plan on making basically a macaroni-shaped piece of driveway with 2 entrances, so that we don't have to back out onto that road through the bike lane to drive, kind of a circle drive in and out.
I
I guess I don't have any problems with the driveway, Ryan, but I guess my question on assuming, I guess that's what we're kind of thinking, is that the pins are supposed to be 10 more feet to the south? Is that what you're saying?
It's either 10 feet or 7.5 feet or 15. The story's changed a little bit since Cruzy's built their house and what the agreement was back in the day.
Was
You know,
it
Brian,
surveyed?
I'll just give some brief history on that. We, when Bush built his house, we agreed, as Bedco agreed to give 10 feet off the next lot to Butch Farley. And then, so that would be basically another 10, and move Cruzy's lot another 10 feet further to the south, as well as the lot that you bought 10 feet further to the south. So I still don't agree with the pins that you found. I think there's 10 feet that you're kind of missing there. You know, when I wheeled it off there, you know, the stakes that I found were 10 feet off from the ones that were actually found by your surveyor. So I think they're still using the old pins, Brian. I don't know who surveyed it, but it appears that way to me, so.
That's what I was gonna say, it had to be
Because
surveyed.
that water hydrant is just barely off of your property, I believe.
Yes, and right now with the pins that they, it was a survey company out of Sioux Falls, I can find their name. The pins they found right now are about 12 feet from the fire hydrant,
Right.
which would make sense if the goal was, you know,
Should be
years
about
ago to
2
shift
feet
it 10
from
feet.
that. That's exactly right, because that's as far as we wanted to go, because we had to pay to extend that past that, as well as the sewer line. So that's why everything was moved, and the developed corporation paid all those extra costs to do that. So I still believe that you probably own about 2 feet of that fire hydrant.
Which would be exactly what I'd be hoping for. I don't plan to build that close, but it's just nice to have a little bit of cushion on the edge of the property.
That's what I measured off anyhow, so.
So if the pin, did you say you found different pins?
I didn't find pins, I just used wheeled it all off from the one pin we knew where it was at, so.
Okay.
Because that was already found. But that's where I came up with, just exactly 2 feet from the hydrant.
Is that recorded somewhere?
Yeah, it should all be recorded and the pin should be set. That's
That's
why I'm questioning about the survey, because that's why, when I talked to your neighbors there, the Cruzies, I told them, I said, for some reason, somebody doesn't have the right survey then. Because those were all filed, we've got copies of all the plats here in the office, so.
So really, it's a moot point.
It is, yeah.
Your surveyor probably found the wrong thing, where the city is already saying, yeah, you own to almost to that fire hydrant, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Probably found the original pin.
Yeah.
Didn't get pulled when they did the replat to shift everything 10 feet south.
Makes sense.
So then if that is the case, and if I do own what I think the end goal is to own, does it sound like we just basically work between Jerry and I and find a
As
surveyor?
long as you stay 2 feet away from that hydrant, you should be fine then. Because you can go up to your property line with concrete, so
Perfect.
you should be okay there.
Didn't this come up before about putting 2 driveways on the bike path? Do we have another house that we're gonna do that?
No, Butch Farley moved his around to the one side just because it made sense for him.
He's talking about the house on Prairie Drive. They wanted to move and create a second driveway instead of being on Prairie Drive, Prairie Park Drive. They wanted to drive on 13th Street.
I don't know, a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah, in this case, they don't have another option. I mean, he has no other option other than, he's gotta have at least one to go across there, so if you allow 2, it's not gonna add any more traffic, I don't think, in his case.
Yeah, the end goal of it is that it allows you to do drive and access only. You're not backing out across the bike path. You can circle drive into it, and then as you're going out into traffic, you're driving in the direction of travel, if there are sight lines.
Yes, he does, Travis.
And that's no parking anyway, right?
Right.
We need that.
It's probably safer, actually, in this case.
Do we need to do anything, or?
I don't think so, no. We don't have, there's no permit or anything that we issue. We usually just work with them through the planning board and say that should be okay or not.
There you go.
All right, so I got council's blessing to do 2 entrances, and have a circle drive. Perfect. All right, just want to make sure before I put concrete down that no one has an issue with it. So.
As long as you have a building.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Perfect. All right. well then I'll work with, track down a survey and we'll see if we can find different pins and see what we have to have, so.
There's no phone.
Or just come and get Jerry and just. Did you say you found a pin or you did?
I did not, I just measured it off from.
You, oh, you
The
did.
pin that we did don't work as fast, because they found it when they were doing their survey.
But we should
Or some of
have,
this other stuff that was going on.
but we should have the plots
We do have the flags.
changed, so I mean, the surveyor could use that to
Because we
find.
would not have put that shut off or the water 12 feet into the next lot.
Right.
We would have done that, so.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Next visitor to be heard, Mr. Troy Larson, Lewis and Clark Regional Water.
Is this the hot seat I
I
assume?
believe so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Jerry, for the invite to be here. Is that Troy Doden? All right.
When do we start the clock here?
Yeah.
15 or?
Fellow Groton Tiger there, and this is the first meeting I've been at where Troys are in the majority, so that's really cool. But good to see you, Troy. I got a gift for you here. We got some Lewis and Clark tumblers, so we'll make sure you get one. So thank you again, Jerry, for the invite to be here. Does everyone have a copy of this, or should I hand these
I
out?
think they got it, yeah. They should have it in their packet.
Okay. So the first sheet I'm going to be referring to is the one with some red writing on it. Green, or
Which one do you got there?
it has red handwritten.
I don't have that on mine.
Never hand this out.
Looks similar, but I don't have it all. Yours is pretty, yeah, yours is pretty better.
Yeah, good to see you. Sorry we didn't have our annual meeting. That's all right. You're always so good about being there. Okay. All right. What's that? Yeah. Troy will have to follow along a little bit. All right. So one of the main reasons I am here is to talk about the expansion of the system. Currently, Lewis and Clark is being built for 45 million gallons a day, but we have the ability. You mind if I take this off? It's a little hard to talk and breathe. So it's being built for 45 million gallons a day, but we can expand to 60 million gallons in the future. The Bureau of Reclamation have had past experience where systems were completed and too small as soon as they were done. And so they were kind enough to let us build the system so that could easily be expanded to 60 million gallons a day in the future. So a lot of federal money is currently being spent to size it proportionally so we can easily expand it. For example, our main trunk line from Vermilion to T is currently 54 inches. If it was right sized, it would only be 48 inches. So that's an example. The Bureau of Reclamation let us build it bigger. Treatment plant, things are being built bigger. So there's a lot of federal dollars going into making it bigger. But when it comes time to actually expand the system to 60 million gallons a day, there's still a lot of money that the members who want to participate in that expansion need to pay. So the feds are putting up some money, but there's still local money that needs to be put in. And this is a voluntary basis, whoever wants to participate in the expansion. So if you look on that first sheet, the engineers have estimated the lower right-hand corner that it would cost $97.2 million to expand the system. That would be the members' cost. That does not include the federal dollars that have already been spent to expand the system. And you'll see Beresford's share would be 2.9 million, just under 3 million for an additional 483,000 gallons a day. If you look at my notes below, Beresford currently has reserve capacity of 875,000 gallons a day, and that cost you, because of the cost share involved, the project, $2.2 million. So you'll see this expansion is quite a bit more expensive because it's 100% by the members versus having a state and federal cost share. So at this point, I want to emphasize I'm not here to sell you on participating in this expansion. We have members that are clamoring for more capacity. So they would be thrilled if Beresford let this go and they would then pick it up. Members like Harrisburg, who only reserve 440,000 gallons a day and would want 3 million if they could get it. South Lincoln Rural Water, Minnehaha Community Water Court, Sioux Falls. So I want to emphasize, I'm not here to convince you to try to take this capacity. I just want to make sure that you have the information you need to make an informed decision. Currently, Beresford, and thank you, Tom, for providing this information. Currently, and as you know, you can sell water to anyone you want. You're currently selling water to South Lincoln Rural Water, and they in turn are selling to a dairy. So Beresford, just the city, not including the dairy, according to Tom's math, you're using 38% of your current capacity, 38%. When you include the dairy, you're using 55%. So you have a fair amount of capacity not being used. So that might be one reason you want to pass. You might decide, you know what, that dairy contract, who knows if that's going to always be around. In 20 years, are they going to renew, or however long your contract is for? I think it's 20, isn't it, Tom? Or maybe you guys... 25. Now, presumably there always be cows there, and so presumably they always need water. But you have to make an informed decision of whether you have enough capacity or not. In terms of the cost, you'll look at the very top. I've highlighted those two items, a second gravity thickener and the SCU, that stands for a solid contact basin or solid contact unit. What's driving the timeline, this gets into the timeline, is as part of the authorized system, we have to build a 5th solids contact basin. We currently have 4, so part of the authorized system, we have to build a 5th. When we go to this expansion, the 60 MGD expansion, we have to build a 6th. Our engineers have told us we will save a significant amount of money if we build the 5th and 6th at the same time. And when we build that 6th unit, we would also put in the second gravity thickener because that would be the same contract, same contractor. So what's driving this decision on the expansion is not that people are running out of water. It's we know we're going to need that 5th basin, and when we do the 5th basin, we want to do the 6th and the 2nd unit. So that would be $13.2 million in today's dollars. One option the board has is to just do that part, just do the 13.2 and save the other work for later, 10 years later, 15, whenever the water is needed. So I don't know when you're going to need to come up with your share of $3 million. I'm just rounding. You're 2.9. My guess is you'll need part of it in about 8 years. That's when we believe we'll need that 5th basin, and we do the 6th. So part of it would be about 8 years from now, and then there could be a break in the action for 10 years. Or the board may decide, you know what, we've already started, let's just keep things rolling. So that is a board decision on when you would need to come up with the dollars. Does that make sense in terms of timing? Here also is something to keep in mind with regard to the timing. One of the reasons I'm here is because we are currently conducting a straw poll of who is in and who is out. As you know, a straw poll is informal, nothing binding. So far, we have 16 members who have said yes, and I'm waiting to hear back from 4 more. They have until January 1 of this year, coming year, to give me an answer. So I'm hoping tonight you have enough information that you can at least answer yes or no on a straw poll. Again, it's non-binding. In terms of the official decision, after the first of the year, after we get the straw poll results, the directors have indicated a desire to set January 1 of 2022 as a deadline for all members to make a decision and sign on the dotted line if you're in or out. January 1, 2022. So you have just over 1 year from today, 1 year and a quarter, whatever, to make that decision. We're currently having our engineers run some cash flows under the 2 scenarios. One is how much money would the members need to pay in 8 years, and then if we wait 10 years, what would that look like? Or versus doing it all at once. If the board decides in 3 years, let's just knock this out, that's a separate cash flow. I'll have those cash flows probably in March. So I would say between March of 21 and December of 21 is when kind of the right spot will be for you to make a decision on whether you want to participate or not. So I want to pause there's some more stuff we want to talk about, but this is the main, if I'm in the newspaper business, I don't want to bury the lead. This is the lead. The expansion is the main reason I'm here. So I'm going to pause, questions, comments, feedback.
Troy, what if we didn't want the whole 483,000? Is that an option?
No one's asked that, but I would sure think it is. I don't know a reason why it wouldn't be.
That was the first thought I had too.
And the second thing I have is, you know, I put some little cheap numbers in, and these guys probably don't even know what they were, but it's just how much our cost is quite a bit higher than somebody else is getting less gallons.
Yep. You want me to cover
they're
that?
about the same, because, you know, I think as we expand, I kind of know a little bit about why, but, you know, Sioux Falls and Lincoln Pipestone and Beresford are all got the highest rate if we want to increase, or we got a higher percentage of the cost to pay.
Yep, and thanks that's a great segue into the second page.
Oh, there you go.
He's a genius. So, in 1993, the members had to sign on the dotted line, how much water did you want? And that was the 80-10-10 cost share, 80% federal government, 10% from the state, 10% from the 3 members. So everyone said, we want X amount of gallons. And the total was 23.5 million. If you want to jot that down, that's an important number. 23.5 million gallons a day. That is what was authorized by Congress. So when I talk about an 80-10-10 cost share, we're only talking about a 23.5 MGD system. After the project was authorized, we went around, and I wasn't here then, so I'm saying we as in the board and the engineers, and said, okay, now it's 2000. This is when the project was authorized. So 7 years have passed. Does anyone want to change their number? Do you want more water? And if you do, you have to pay 100% of the incremental cost to upsize the system. Beresford took a significant amount of additional water, and I wish I had the numbers, and maybe you do, Jerry. I think Beresford's original request was like 250,000 gallons, and everything else was in 2000.
I think it was 600, and then we took the extra 275. It was old Tom and I were thinking.
Well, and I have,
875.
it's currently 875.
I was thinking 600 was.
I'll have to look back, but we have exactly what Beresford requested. But 4 members took a lot more of this incremental capacity than anyone else. It was Beresford, Lincoln Pipestone, Sioux Falls, and T. They proportionally took the biggest chunk. And again, they had to pay 100% of the incremental cost of the upsizing. So if you look on that page 2, you'll see, and this is all in what we call the ARCA, the Amended and Restated Commitment Agreement. That's our constitution, basically, that keeps all the members together. You'll see Beresford's share of the construction is 3.557. But if you add up their share, your share of the water, it's only 3.2%. The difference is that 100% cost to upsize the system to get the additional capacity you wanted. So if you look, you'll see Beresford, Sioux Falls, T, and Lincoln Pipestone are the ones that have the biggest gap. And so the question came up, and Jerry asked a good question. On this expansion to 60 million gallons, why are we still using the construction percentage? Why wouldn't we say, well, the system's now done, 45 million gallon a day system is done, why don't we now go reserve capacity? The reason is because, as I shared, there's been a significant amount of federal, state dollars that have went into the construction now based on that construction percent formula. Because again, we're spending money to upsize the system. So would it be fair to say, well, we spent, and let's call it 100 million. Let's say roughly $100 million of federal and state money has been spent already on the expansion. Now we're getting ready for the member share of the expansion. Would it be right to change horses in the middle of the stream and say, well, now instead of basing it on construction percentage, we're going to base it on reserve capacity? And the answer is no. In the ARCA, we have to complete the system based on the construction percentage. That includes the expansion. So that's why Beresford's so much more expensive, and it is, than the other members. That being So Harrisburg would pay double this to take that capacity if they could.
I got a question.
Yep.
Okay, hypothetical, don't get insulted. Okay, you said something about 3 million for 483,000 more gallons, more or less?
Yep.
Right.
Now,
More or
Jerry said if you didn't take the 483, just say hypothetically you take half of that. Can we sell our share of the 200 to another city that's willing to pay to knock our costs down and bring their costs up?
Great question. You would have to buy it first and then meter the water like you're doing with South Lincoln. The expansion is voluntary, so you'd have to first buy the asset and then sell the produce. I call it the golden goose versus the golden eggs.
Yeah, but if you buy 483, are you gonna try to outbid us selling your water cheaper than us? Because you gotta give us a chance to make a few pennies here. We're poor people.
No, we can't do that, Art.
Yeah, we can't sell, we can't sell water to, give me an example, Olson, is that where your hometown is? Olson!
If we buy it, we can sell it though.
Right, if you meter it, you can. We can't sell water to Olson or Spink or whoever, because that's someone else's territory. We can't hone in, we can't compete with.
So we, like, don't tell you tonight, and we try to have feelers out there, see if we could ship some of the water, let you know at a later date, that might be a good idea to try to sell it then.
Absolutely. City of Madison is doing the exact same thing. Madison doesn't need all the water that they would get in the expansion, but they know there's a market for it. So they know there's other people that want to buy water. For example, Clay Rural Water is talking right now with Centerville, Lenox, Madison, Sibley, Sheldon about buying water. And I assume Jerry's talked to you that one of the options that's being discussed is for Sheldon to sell water to Clay Rural Water at Beresford, because you can meter your water anywhere, and then pay Beresford a wheeling charge of some sort to get the water to Clay, because we don't have a connection. Lewis and Clark does not have a connection with Clay, but Beresford does.
Right.
And likewise, Beresford, you could sell water at Worthington, you could sell water at Laverne, you can sell water at any Lewis and Clark metering facility. So you're absolutely right, Art. You could offset part of your cost by selling water on a long-term contract to other cities, rural water systems. They don't even have to be members. You could sell to TM Rural Water, or whoever you want to sell to.
I appreciate your input. Thank you.
And you already know what you're selling now for South Lincoln, and you can kind of do some math on what you could make off selling water. I need to cover some other stuff, but does that cover the expansion well enough? Okay.
Pretty good for me.
So before I move on, do you have a gut reaction in terms of the straw poll? In for all of it, in for none of it, in for half of it? What's your gut?
I'm thinking half. What are you thinking?
That's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, we got, we sold the dairy because we didn't think we'd ever use that water. But I mean, we're still looking possibly 15 years down the road or 10 years down the road before this comes up. I think we all think that we may expand. Beresford's going to continue to expand. We don't want to be like Harrisburg or T, begging for water.
I was like 100% if we could get to 8 or 10 years.
If we knew we could make some money off of it, Art, that's a good point.
I agree with that, with ours too.
We could, you know, we're not making a ton off of
We could
dairy.
do this.
We're making, you know,
Yeah, well,
What's the demand right now? If you could make as much water, how much with the members right now and inquiries maybe?
Right now, we're building this to expand to 40 MGD. If we could go back in time, this would probably be a 75 MGD system. Then you include members or cities and rural water systems who aren't members. The Brandons, Cantons, Kingbrook Rural Water, TM Rural Water, Big Sioux Rural Water. There are so many entities that in hindsight would be members. The demand is there. Rock Rapids is a great example. They're selling the majority of their water to Lion and Sioux Rural Water. So they're keeping the golden goose. They're not selling the golden goose. They're just selling the golden eggs. They're metering the water, selling the water. So the water is an asset. You can make money off it. And now granted, there's a certain point where you price yourself out. TM Rural Water wanted to buy water from Centerville. They shot them a high number, and they said, forget you. And they went to Parker and got it for a lot less. So you can price yourself out of the market.
But if you're buying more, you can get it cheaper, can't you? I mean, to a point.
And that's what happened with your, in fact, that's on, if we could jump ahead, well, go to the fourth page. What Art's talking about is the effective rate. We have a two-part water rate. A capacity charge, you pay for that no matter if you use any water or not. Last year was 43 cents. When I say last year, our new fiscal year started October 1. So we just started our new fiscal year. Our new capacity charge is 44 cents, but it was 43. Again, you pay for that for your reserve capacity, whether you use it or not. Then the water rate is what you actually use. Your effective rate is simply your bill divided by how many gallons you purchase. So again, your effective rate is your total bill divided by how many gallons you purchase. Beresford's for the year, for the fiscal year, was $1.39. Before you had to deal with the dairy, you were paying significantly more.
Right.
And it gets to what you're saying. The more you use of your reserve capacity, the lower the overall cost.
The more we make.
Correct.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And then the next page is simply a snapshot of 1 month. The more water you use in a given month, like September is a little higher, you'll see September was $1.29. So the previous page, $1.39, was the entire year.
Is that per 1,000 gallons?
Yep, that's per 1,000 gallons. Yep.
Well, my only concern if you go for 100% is we have to divide up that loan somehow, or if you call in 3 million, I don't think we'd want to have it all at once. I'd rather have like half, you know, if it came to sooner, and then we'd have to have a little leeway on the other half.
Yep.
If we bought the whole amount, we'd have to work some kind of package out where we had a little bit of leeway. This way it gives us more time to try to sell it or do whatever we have to do.
And so the challenge for all the communities will be looking into your crystal ball. You're going to have to make a decision by January 1 of 2022 when you want all of it, half of it, but the expansion might not be done for 18, 20 years. So we're talking about capacity that likely wouldn't be available for 18, 20 years, unless the board decided, hey, once we build that 6 basin, let's keep rolling. So that would be, call it 11 to 20 years. So you're going to be looking in the crystal ball saying, do you think we'll need this or not? And that's a gamble. I mean, Harrisburg only reserved 440,000 gallons. Their crystal ball wasn't so clear.
Well, there is a couple of projects on the map right now, the federal government and Chris, you know, one of them's at Amazon up in Sioux Falls, 1,000 workers. And I heard in Rapid City the other day that some people said that a couple of spectators are out there looking around for about 50 or 100 acres because there's maybe 5,000 or 10,000 jobs over there. So I think growth around here is going to come real, you know, like you said, 20 years is a long way off. I'd rather have more than less.
I don't believe I'm speaking out of school because I don't know what this project is, but I got a call from the economic development gurus about a project by Sherman, north of Sioux Falls. You guys have ever heard of Sherman? Mm-hmm. Whatever project this is, they wanted 6 million gallons a day. 6 million, and they were asking if Lewis and Clark could provide it. First of all, we don't have any extra capacity laying around. Number two, our second largest member is Minnehaha Community Water Corp at 2.2 million gallons a day. That'd be 3 Minnehaha Community Water Corps. 6 million gallons, they don't understand how much water that is. That's a tremendous amount of water. And so the answer was no.
Can we buy 6 million?
No, sorry.
My question is, if we say we want to buy $3 million worth, does that lock down our amount that no one can touch it?
Correct. But
now somebody comes in, like you said, saying, hey, we want to buy the water. And you say, well, Beresford's got this already under contract. You're going to have to cut a deal with them for some of the water.
Correct. Otherwise, whatever, let's say you buy half, the other half will go proportionally to the other members. Harrisburg will take a cut. There'll be a lot of members taking a cut. It won't all just go to one member.
No, but I'm just saying that 3 million, I prefer to take it all.
And then that's a decision. I mean, you got a little over a year to figure that out.
So you guys are at 45 million now.
Correct.
How much are you using?
Well, our water treatment plant is designed for 45, but our well capacity currently is not. We can produce about 36 million gallons a day.
Is that what you're using? Do you get rid of everything?
Our highest peak day was, no, I take that back. I said 36. It's
107.3.
so yeah, 27. It's not 36.
27.3.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because we came close to maxing out this past summer. We're building a large collector well to get our well capacity to catch up. So when people talk about capacity, it's where's the choke point? Our treatment plant, and that's what I was thinking of, is like 36 million gallons a day. We have to add that fifth basin and a second unit to get to 45. So nothing right now can produce 45. Soon we will be able to produce 45 in terms of infrastructure, but we still need the well capacity. So you're always catching up of where's your bottleneck.
So when you're saying 60, then are you talking hypothetical 60, or are you talking is that going to be an effective 60?
No,
at the time.
That'd be what's called firm capacity, and that'd be all these projects right here to get to 60. We use the term firm capacity, which is your best producing well out of service, and that's the way we consider capacity. You can't guarantee you're going to have all your wells all the time.
And that's the 11 to 20 years you're talking about for the time for that to be done.
Yes, in terms of the treatment plant, we still need to add wells. But in terms of this is the infrastructure to make it happen, if you will.
I got one more question. Oh, we've been around quite a while with this water thing.
18 years.
You, Andy, and Jerry and Tom over there and Gerald. Remember when it first started, they put here's all the money, but then we had a fight to get the money, bits and pieces. So okay, if we give you $3 million, is that $3 million locked down, or is that $3 million consistent on the government paying this and this and this, where we might be paying more?
Good question, Art. This expansion we're talking about is 100% at the member's cost. So there would be no waiting for federal dollars.
Right.
This would happen when the board says, let's do it.
Right, that's what I was asking, yeah, because you gotta watch out, those feds are tricky. They'll say one thing and do another.
And quickly, and they're asking good questions, Jerry, so that's not all on my time.
There's a reason he put you on the clock.
Yeah, page 3, if you go to your handout, there's something called a final true-up. All that means is when the system is completed, and I'm not talking about the expansion here, the expansion is not part of this true-up. And so we're talking about 8 years from now, roughly. When the system is completed, the final true-up simply looks at, did you pay what you were supposed to pay? Or did you pay too much or too little? And you'll see right now, Beresford has an underpayment of $113,000. That got indexed October 1, but we don't know the indexing figure. Indexing is another way to say inflation. So we'll have a new number for you in December or January. Right now, inflation is really low, so I don't think that number will increase too much. But just to make you aware, Beresford still owes and Sioux Falls still owes. You'll see Hull and Lincoln Pipestone have debits. They have since paid prior to October 1. And so right now we have 2 members that are not fully paid, and that's Beresford and Sioux Falls.
Yeah, we're working on it though.
Yep.
Next month we have a bunch of meetings.
Is there something on this page that you could forget about if we give you a firm answer?
I like how you guys do deals down here. So I just make you aware, and you're doing nothing wrong. You had the option, and this, I'm not going to get into all the details, you had the option way back when to let it ride. I'm sure Jerry's explained it. So it's not wrong that you guys still owe. No one's in trouble. You're fine. It's just you have to decide when you want to pay it. And it's sometime now between now and 8 years roughly. The last thing I'm going to point out is the last page, and that is our construction progress map. This just shows you how construction is coming along. Everything in solid blue is operational. Green is currently under construction, so you'll see between Beresford and Sioux Center is where the pipeline focus is. A water tower just outside of Beresford is coming along as you see as you drive by. And then that little spider-looking thing at the bottom is the radio collector well, and that will produce 16 million gallons a day. A regular vertical well, we have 11 vertical wells. Our vertical wells produce about 3 million gallons a day. This collector well will produce 16 million gallons a day, so significantly bigger. And when all the green stuff is completed, along with the blue, will be 85% complete. The last thing I want to say is I really want to thank Tom Erickson for his dedicated service on the board. I forget, Tom, it was 10 years now? How long you been on the board? But Tom is a well-respected member of our board. He doesn't speak up all that often. Maybe he did when he was on council here. But we have a 20-member board, so he doesn't speak a lot. But when he does, people listen. He's just incredibly well-respected. So I want to thank you for allowing him to continue to serve, because I really don't like training in new directors.
Right.
So I want to keep this one for a while. So I've taken more than 15 minutes, which was my allotted time, but you had a lot of good questions. Any additional questions that you have?
I have one question for you. City buys 400,000 gallons per day capacity, so 278 GPM. If they have demand where their internal system wants more than 278, what happens to that city? Is it on a half-hour basis? Is it per minute? Does a meter shut off and just their water pressure drops?
A good question. So whatever your total capacity is, you can purchase more than that on an as-available basis. So we don't turn off anyone's meters as long as the capacity is there. If you look, Rock County Rural Water District has a effective rate of $1.04. They actually purchase more than they were reserved to purchase, but the water was there. So right now you can purchase more, but it's just not guaranteed. Harrisburg right now, I mentioned the 440. They could purchase 2 million gallons. Or excuse me, Harrisburg. Harrisburg right now could purchase 2 to 3 million gallons a day, but it's not guaranteed. How do they bring in businesses and industry saying it's as available? And so does that answer your question? You can purchase more, it's just not guaranteed.
Is it purchased at a dollar for dollar basis?
Yes. Yep.
If the system eventually hits where you peak out wells, peak out a reserve capacity, what is the circuit breaker? If everyone drew the system down, what condition would actually shut off someone's water?
That's a good question. It would be whenever we max out, whether it's the wells or our treatment capacity, where is the choke point in the system? Right now it's wells. But in the future, it might not be wells. We might have more than enough well capacity, and we might have a limitation in the size of the pipeline. We have a SCADA system, so I think the answer to your question is the SCADA system. Everything we can control electronically. If we're building a system that's 60 million gallons a day, but in a given day they want 65 million gallons, I think that's what you're talking about. We have the ability through our SCADA system to ratchet it down and say, whoa, you can't take more than you reserved in this given day. Most likely that'd be like a hot August day when everyone wants all their water. So good question. Anything else?
I'd say on the straw poll, we're good for at least half at this point.
Okay.
Is everybody in agreement on that? I'm thinking possibly more.
I'd take all.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, for sure and for half.
Okay. So for the straw poll, I'll put you down for at least half, but that you're not taking your finger off any checker for the whole thing.
Yep.
I'll let you go. I do have some Lewis and Clark tumblers here for that 2.2 million that you paid in. So thanks for your question.
Thanks for calling. Troy put a lot of that on his lawn this summer.
Yeah.
Good job.
He cut it off in July.
Thank you.
Who gets Troy's? All right.
He can't see it.
I'll put yours here, Troy. You can get it. And when I have a new order coming, this is the last 8. So ladies, I apologize I don't have one for you. Jeff, I'm sorry. So we'll have to get more.
Thank you.
So I got one more.
Give it to you, ladies.
All right.
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa there.
Oh,
There we go.
there we
Sorry
go.
about that.
Yeah, you're gonna get in trouble with Teresa. Give hers away. Oh, here I have one more. Sorry.
What a way to suck up to us.
Jeez, I tried, Tom. I tried.
She's the one that pays the bills, the extra you get paid, so.
All right,
You're a
thank
big coffee
you,
drink.
let you go.
Thank you, Troy.
Thanks, Troy.
Good to see you guys again.
Thank you.
Hopefully, Art will have another annual meeting, you can come.
I'll be there.
You don't miss them.
No, I'm trying to be as loyal as I can. Not as good as Tom though, but I show up.
You do,
They
thank you.
must serve a good lunch if you go over there.
Oh yeah, loyalty to the city of Beresford.
We gotta have free food.
Keeps the energy level high.
Speaking of energy level,
About time. Troy, you're your
only needed a couple of days. Good question. Department head reports, Todd Hanson.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good to bring the clock over here.
15 minutes.
No clock needed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, Troy. Take care, Tom. Nice seeing you again. Have a great night. Drive safe.
Anything else you want to say, Art?
Sure. Thank you for showing up. Gotta keep positive energy. Make everybody think positive. Life's too short.
Those active there. Not too big. What do you want over here? That looks good.
That's in the hot seat.
That's been a hot seat? Okay, I'll stay away from the hot seat. All right, gonna talk about the resolution for the rates. You should have received a resolution last Friday. And since that resolution, I guess we wanna look at it as an option, but that resolution was revised. Nathan got a hold of me over the weekend and asked if we could discuss the proposals that I had in front. Just because a couple of them were fairly high. And so me and Nathan met yesterday for about 3 or 4 hours, and we went through a lot of detail. And the details that we went through are not only comparable rates, what I'm about to show you here, but also what goes in on my side of the game, on the operations side, some precautionary stuff, what we want to be careful with by offering the higher bandwidth packages. And as I'll remind everyone, we're doing this fiber to the home. This fiber to the home project will produce up to 1 gig. Do I feel there's any need for the demand? Well, it's not really my call, but I think most of the customers out there don't really have a demand for it right now. So just a reminder, we're doing this fiber to the home project because I've got customers out there today that can barely receive even 20 meg. And so we needed to get those customers ahead of the game. A lot of the electronics, technology and so forth requires much more faster demand than 20 megs. So anyway, my intentions are not to offer the faster packages today. Your first packet will show quite a few more packages, and after visiting with Nathan and going through a bunch of materials, we decided to limit it. And first thing I want to make clear is that whatever package a customer has today will stay in that package, no rate increase. So make sure I'm clear on that nobody's going to see a rate increase unless they want to advance up to one of the new packages. So going forward, those old packages, the 10-1, 20 and 2, 30 and 5, those packages will not be offered. The 70 and 10, those packages will not be offered. Those are locked as of tonight, as soon as you guys make this resolution. And the new packages, what I proposed on Friday, we're even going to lessen the packages from what we had there to the current ones that you see on page 1 here. And so my proposal would be a 50 and 50, 100, 100, 250, 250. So if you go to the second page, thank you, Nathan, for putting this information together, but I consider ourselves, which we are, as an ILEC, as an independent local exchange carrier. Your Midcos, your CenturyLinks, as Nathan knows, I don't like to talk about those. Those kind of people, they operate on different sources than not only customers, but anyway, they're different ball games. So I like to look at our industry, and our industry Like I said, they're all ILECs. You can kind of see throughout the industry, and this is based on, I'm not sure, Nathan, did you get most of the stuff off people's web pages? So based on their web pages and their offerings, you can see there's big gaps. There's not many people offering either 20 or 25 anymore. Technology's pretty much exceeded that. So some of the people that just do the Facebook, and primarily that's it, you can still get by with a 10-1 or a 20-2. But we do not get much demand. And I'll look at Kathy and Elaine here. Do you guys get much demand for any of the lower packages anymore?
Not so much.
So I think we need to take them off the table. And we'd like to start with the 50 meg package. And as you can see, to fit in with the industry, not to be competing with them, but to be comparable to them. We felt the 50 meg, the 100 meg, and then from there it kind of gets scattered, but we did want to offer a 250 meg. We even considered a 500, but going through some of the network side of it, we kind of like to see where this goes first before we start to offer the faster packages. So when we see demand grow, we'll definitely make adjustments. So Nathan gave a breakdown on the bottom section, and I think you broke it down on a price per meg, just to see on a price per meg what kind of comparison we are. If you go to your third page, you kind of combined it down to how does Beresford fit into this. And so looking at the third page, this should be somewhat consistent with what Nathan had in the prior pages, except what I found is even some of these companies you saw on my page here, their rates have actually come down since the last time I reviewed this. It might have been 4 or 5 months ago. So Nathan's got the updated list, so if mine don't coincide with what he has, it's because I didn't update my list. But you can see the 50 meg package, we're right in the middle. And keep in mind, we'll remind you that we are one of the smallest ILECs. There's 2 other companies out there that are smaller than us that are on this page. And so we're about the 3rd smallest company on here. Again, me and Nathan talked, numbers talk. And if we had the clientele, we can operate on smaller profit margins. We don't. So we got to make sure we can keep moving forward, being able to afford the upgrades in the future. But looking at what we proposed here, you can see that we're right in the middle, right in the pack with the rest of them. And I would hope our customers are very, very pleased with this to see we're comparable to other exchanges. Listed on here, you can see there's $1.30, 90 cents, and 46 cents. And that is your cost per meg. So the more the people buy, the cheaper we get. But one of the biggest obstacles that we came across is when we have to buy access ourselves and when we have to pay for transport to get it to SDN. So those are the big variables that the more people use, the more it costs us. So that's why looking at some of the higher packages, we just want to kind of slow down a little bit and we want to offer what you got in front of you here. 4th page kind of gives you an idea of what we have for subscribers out there today. Nathan, the numbers that you and I looked at the other day, obviously I was looking at some older data, 2, 3, 4 months ago. And so this is as of October billing. You can see how many subscribers. The very top line, it says Smart RG router. That's another device that we're going to offer. It's going to be a router that we'll be able to do analytics when customers call in. But that's a new offering right there of $8.95 a month. But when you start looking at how many customers do we have at 10-1, 214. And when you look at the 20 and 2, some of you are voice and data. And that would be your 54 subscribers. And you got your broadband only at 312. So the rest of the numbers are in front of you there. So with the offerings that we have, not to go through it too thoroughly, but if we're offering a 50 meg package at $65, you can see on here that a 20 and 2 broadband only customer is paying $58. That customer, if he elects to bump up to 50 meg, he's gaining 30 meg for additional $7. So that's, we feel that would be a good fit. There's going to be some in here when you're looking at some of the 50 and 10s. They're now going to become 50 and 50, and we'll have to reduce that customer price. So there will be a reduction. We analyzed that. We saw that we're going to take a step back, but we're, I know there's people that are demanding more bandwidth that we can't get to today, and I would anticipate we're gonna sell some of the higher packages, and that's gonna make up for that deficit that we're gonna absorb by taking and reducing some cost. Any questions for me, or Nathan, you were heavily involved? You got something to add to it?
I think we want to be comparable, we want to offer value, we want to make sure that the service is sound functionally, and move forward from there.
And actually, Todd and I talked late this afternoon too, and the one thing Todd and I talked about was his ability to like grab the last 6 months or a year from the old service, and then once we have the new service on for 6 months or a year, grab the data from that and put apples to apples and see where we're at instead of just trying to wing it on the new one. And he said he thought that would be possible.
Yeah, we analyzed what we're paying in transport and access today, and I think it was somewhere in $45,000, but memory doesn't fail me. And so we'll be monitoring that closely, and we'll see where it goes. If we feel prices need to be adjusted, obviously some of these companies adjusted them down based on usage. Some of these packages, you know where technology's going. At some point in time, 100 meg's not going to be enough.
Should I make a motion for resolution 2020-19 to set internet rates as Todd specified, the 50/50 at $65, the 100 at 90, 250 for 115.
Second.
Could we just renumber the modified one, Jerry?
Yeah, we're just going to the 2019, so.
A motion to consider resolution 2020-19 with 3 internet offerings. Is there any further discussion?
When again are we going to do an effective date on it? I mean, I know you turned some customers on Friday and today.
Yeah, they're on the old package, but that's my next point here, is because of the billing will be processed, I believe, on the 25th generally. Kind of a short window there. We've got some contractors in town that we're making the calls to, so Beth's got it tied up right now. So I'd like to make these effective as of probably December 1st. I'd like to be able to start to offer the new packages, but make the rate adjustment if we can get it done by by the end of October for November's billing. I'd like to be able to do it, but if it's too much of a time crunch for Beth, then I would like to then make these new offerings to reduce the existing rates in December.
Or just say December.
Would you prefer December?
I think so. But I want to make sure we can start to offer these immediately, because as of today, we've got contractors that are starting to do the conversions, and that's taken from the outside and turn people up on the internet and the phone site. So they'll be completed. So we've got 10 of them done today. So I'd like to be able to approach these people when we're making calls to line up the appointments, to inform them about the new offerings and see if we can get people to increase their speeds.
Does that work for you on how you would bill it?
That'd be Beth.
December 1st is what I heard.
Do we need to amend the motion?
I don't think we put an effective date on it.
No, we didn't.
No.
Well, this says October 19th.
Well, it does say October.
The resolution wouldn't be effective until 20 days after publication anyway, so.
Oh, okay. But it like Nathan says, it says October 19th to 2020.
I mean, if we delay billing, would be we're pushing off.
20 days, we're into November.
I think they just want to do it
So
on
There's not going to be any, there wouldn't be any brand new customers. I mean, there may be a couple, but they're going to be existing customers just going to a different plan.
I'd be able to, since we haven't offered the 100 meg, we'd be able to offer it, right? Okay.
So then why don't we just start at December 1st and leave them on the, whatever plan they're on now and have them hook up with
I think that
him?
makes sense. I'm just saying, would we get in trouble by delaying the resolution? I can see if we tried to do it retroactively, but we're actually.
No, you're okay, changing, say, effective with the December 1 billing.
And then
But
just
you can
work
still
with,
offer the
yeah.
packages, so.
Okay.
It's benefiting the customer.
Yes, right.
We can offer them, and if we process the order, we could not increase their cost, or we can just go ahead and start billing it immediately.
If they would agree to it. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could immediately, I guess, if they agree.
Okay.
Tell them it's not effective till December 1, they may not agree, who knows?
Okay. It's just a reduction, you know, when you're looking at a 50 meg and they're charged more than what the new offer price is. I'd like to impute those reductions for December's billing.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, with the new customers or people that want to convert from their old package up to one of these new packages, I can do that immediately. So if somebody wanted to go to a 100 meg package, which not offered today, until you
Oh, I
guys-
see, because you don't even offer it?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Can I offer it tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay.
Good job, I think good job.
So motion by Shaq. It was seconded, right?
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution approved. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and effort for the city.
Thank you.
Next up, Finance Officer, Aaron Johnson.
So I handed out everybody a copy of the September financials. Some of the out of the ordinary expenses that came through in September. I'm not gonna read out every vendor, but for the East Substation, we paid out $1,295,458. Between all of the substation vendors that are currently in the process. For the fiber to the home, there was quite a few there, and we paid out $127,607 for the fiber to the home. September, we also paid the 2014 and 2016 Clean Water Drinking Water SRF loan payments in the amount of $27,792. And also with the burglary at the bridges, we got their startup cash back up and running.
Thanks.
We move to accept the September 2020 financials.
Second.
Motion by Bill and seconded to accept the September 2020 financials. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Financials accepted. No old business, new business, pay request number 3, Altitude Energy for the East Substation. The amount here.
Total amount's $400,796.38, so. And DGR is signed off and they recommend payment.
Billy makes a motion for pay request to Altitude Energy for the East Substation for the amount of $400,796.38.
Boone second.
Motion by Jolene and seconded by Doden to authorize pay request number 3 for Altitude Energy in the amount of $400,796.38. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Step pay increase for Tony Gorvick.
Tony would go from 2252 to 2305. I know he's been very valuable to us over here. We appreciate what he's done and did a real good job for us. And I think Todd would agree with that. So we just wanted a motion to move him up the step.
Shall I make a motion for step pay increase for Tony Larvick from the VMTC to
2305.
2305? For a great job.
Second.
Motion by Shot, seconded to authorize the step pay increase 20 mil break to 2305. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So, a discussion item with minimum wage.
Just for you guys' information, we'll be having some new wages come January based on that.
What was it, 925?
9:30 right now.
When's that effective?
January 1.
Did we budget that?
Alright.
Then I think we're
We'll work at the first year's.
Is there a motion for payment of the bills?
Can I make a comment? So Jeff Pyright, I thought he was gonna stick around, but, Top Coat, who did the chip sealing in town, he had been visiting with them, and we put them in to be paid, and he said this evening he got a call and there's actually gonna be a reduction in the cost of that invoice. It was 65,000 or something, but I thought he was gonna stick around and talk about it.
Good job. He talked to me about it.
He did.
So I guess, do we make a motion for payments with the amended?
Yeah, he did give me the
How do we-
amount.
If it's on the,
He took the invoice with him. But it's, the original one was $65,396.21. And I thought, he said there was like a reduction of 5,000.
yeah, that's kind of the numbers he said, but, I mean, we're just taking it out of the payment of bills, the total amount for today.
Well, I'd like to pay it.
Do we
I
need
can
the-
adjust this.
Do we need the exact amount?
Well, she gets it from Jeff.
Jeff tomorrow.
They're all approved in one lump, so.
Mhm.
So if we
Just
don't,
so you know
if
that
we
it's
just-
a smaller number than that.
We can approve
Approve
with
the
the
payment of
one
the bills.
Right.
we're good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Who second?
Didn't you make a motion? No, I didn't.
Who moves to pay the bills?
Delino second.
Motion by Boone and seconded to authorize payment of the bills. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Good personnel.
I don't think we have enough, we didn't really accomplish much more than we had before, so.
I don't think.
We got another meeting with them coming up in another
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
I think we can.
or longer.
No further business for the council.
Nice.
Perfect.
No one's question whether you need to make a motion.
No.